On a night when temperatures are about to drop below freezing and destroy an entire season's crop, some farmers respond by spraying their trees with even more water. That is not a mistake. It is one of the strangest and most effective pieces of applied physics in agriculture. Fruit trees and their blossoms can tolerate temperatures dropping a few degrees below freezing for short periods, but once tissue temperature falls past a critical threshold, ice crystals form inside plant cells and rupture them, killing the blossom or bud permanently. For an orchard, this is not a minor setback. A single hard frost during bloom can wipe out most of that year's harvest in a few hours overnight, which is why growers treat frost protection as one of the highest stakes nights of their entire year. The counterintuitive method is overhead sprinkler irrigation, and it works because of a basic property of water most people never think about. When water freezes, it releases heat, about 80 BTUs of heat energy for every pound of water that turns to ice. By continuously spraying a fine mist over the trees as temperatures drop toward freezing, farmers create a thin layer of ice that is constantly forming on the plant surface. Each bit of ice that forms releases a small amount of heat directly into the plant tissue underneath, holding that tissue right around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, even while the surrounding air is considerably colder. As long as the sprinklers keep running continuously, the plant stays insulated inside that thin, actively freezing shell of ice. This method only works if it never stops. Sprinklers typically activate once temperatures reach around 34 degrees Fahrenheit and must run continuously until the air warms back above freezing the next morning. If the system fails partway through the night, or if a farmer shuts it off too early because conditions seem to be improving, the ice stops forming, the latent heat release stops, and the plant tissue underneath can drop well below freezing almost immediately. Growers have lost entire orchards to a pump failure or a power outage in the middle of an otherwise successful frost protection run, which is why backup generators and redundant pumps are standard equipment on serious frost-prone operations. Water isn't the only tool. On cold, clear, still nights, cold air sinks and pools near the ground while a layer of noticeably warmer air often sits just above it, sometimes only 30 or 40 feet up, a phenomenon called a temperature inversion. Wind machines are essentially giant fans mounted on towers that rotate slowly through 360 degrees, mechanically pulling that warmer air down from the inversion layer and mixing it into the cold air pooling around the trees. A single wind machine can raise the temperature around it by 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit and typically protects 5 to 10 acres, which is why growers position them at the highest point in an orchard block for the widest possible coverage. Neither method works in every condition. Overhead sprinklers should not run when wind speeds exceed about 10 miles per hour, because wind disrupts the fine water coverage the technique depends on and can actually make things worse by evaporative cooling. Wind machines, on the other hand, only work when there's a genuine temperature inversion to pull warm air down from. On nights when cold air has settled uniformly with no warmer layer above, there's no warm air for the machine to redistribute, and it does very little good. Because of this, many large operations run temperature sensors and weather stations throughout their orchards, sometimes networked across dozens of towers, specifically to catch these inversion patterns and time their response precisely rather than guessing. Before modern wind machines and network sprinkler systems became widespread, orchardists relied on smudge pots, small oil-burning heaters placed throughout an orchard that produced both direct heat and a layer of smoke intended to trap radiant heat near the ground overnight. Smudge pots were labor-intensive, required constant refueling and monitoring across an entire orchard block, and produced significant air pollution, which is why most regions have phased them out or restricted their use. Some growers still keep a handful in reserve as a backup heat source for the most vulnerable sections of an orchard, but they've largely been replaced by the combination of overhead sprinklers and wind machines, which require far less manual labor once they're running and can be automated and monitored remotely. The cost of a frost protection system is substantial. Wind machines alone can run into tens of thousands of dollars per unit once installation and fuel systems are included, and a network sprinkler system covering a large orchard represents a major capital investment before it ever protects a single tree. But growers weigh that cost against the alternative, which is losing an entire year's crop value in a single night. For a high-value crop like almonds, cherries, or wine grapes, one bad frost event during bloom can cost far more than the equipment meant to prevent it, which is why frost protection infrastructure is treated as essential insurance rather than an optional upgrade on any orchard operation in a frost-prone region. It's a strange image, farmers deliberately icing their own crops to save them. But for one night a year, turning a tree into a block of slowly freezing ice is exactly what keeps it alive until morning.